Hi, this is Myra with Boutique Paint. Today I'm working on a picture frame and I'm going to use this clip for holding the picture. And I'm going to be using Iron Orchid Designs' new Paint Inlay Paradise. And I did some sample colors and I came to the conclusion I wanted to use the green, which is DIY's Fancy Farmgirl. But the other ones are pretty also. And this is one of the blacks, and I don't have it in front of me, so I don't remember, unfortunately, which one. Also DIY. So we're going to do the green, though. So I did this is one of the Iron Orchid art blanks, and I did a first coat, and now I'm going to put on a second coat, and that's what we are going to adhere the paint inlay on. I like to do a first coat just so I know I'm getting the coverage. You probably don't have to. I just like to know that I've got it all covered. You can just put the paint on a little thicker. You do put it on pretty thick anyway, so that the inlay will adhere. So you want a pretty generous coat over the top of this. And if it looks like it's just a smidge too dry, you can just do a light spritz of water. That looks like, well, it's drying out pretty fast. Put a little bit more right there. All right. This is what I did my sample boards off of. So if I put that on, it would come out a little bit lighter, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go ahead and use this corner up here, I think. Well, yeah, with the birds. And just lay it down. It's got the grid, so you can kind of, I think I got that a little crooked, but I don't think it's going to matter. And smooth it out. And you can see here that it's not wanting to do its thing. So I'm just going to put a little extra paint in that corner. But now we're going to wet it down too, and that'll help. I'll spritz it with water. I'm going to grab my brayer. Hopefully it's in the door here. And roll it. Rolling it helps to get these little air bubbles out. And now I'm going to spritz it. When you're laying this out, especially with something like this where you've got the birds and whatnot, you probably want to, and I probably should have scooted this over just a smidge so that the picture, think about the size of picture you're going to do so that you keep in mind how much of the bird's going to show. If you're using one of the ones with birds or that has, you know, kind of a offset design on it. So we're going to let this dry. And then with this clip, you could do it two ways. I'm just going to scoot this aside here. You can do this two ways. I could just paint it and leave it like that. Or what I was thinking to do is using the molds, and I had done this up ahead of time, and if you would like information on how to do the molds with the either the Mecca powders or the Maker's powders, you can look at my keyring video. These aren't quite ready yet, so we're gonna just wait and let those finish curing, and we'll go from there. Okay, so these are hardened up, so I'm going to go ahead and pop them. And I'm popping them a little early, where they're still a little bit on the soft side. especially that one. Of course, that one wasn't quite as deep of a pour. And hopefully that doesn't fall. I'll make a horrible crash. If you pull them out a little early, they're still a little soft and pliable, and it makes it a little easier to cut. That one's kind of hard already. So you could do a whole one on here, just like that. But my hope is that I can cut through this. I didn't wait too long. I can cut through this one with my utility knife. And I have a mat underneath this piece of paper, so if I go through, I'm not going to harm anything underneath. I just took the razor knife, and you can see that it's starting to cut through. They are a little tough. There we go. So the other option you can do is put a half a one on there like that. That's not quite tall enough like I thought it would be. So I think I'm going to go ahead and just use this one here like that. I'm only going to paint the bottom. And the reason for that is I want to have the medallion stick to the metal up here. So I'm just going to do a quick paint with the same green, and then I'm going to take a little rubbing alcohol and a paper towel, and I'm just going to clean the top of this. The reason why you want to clean it is any oils, especially on metal, will keep things from sticking, your adhesives. I'm going to use E6000 to glue it on. Actually, I have one over here. This one. Let's see. Where's my sample board? Yeah, let's stick with that one. So I'm just going to put a little glue on this. And E6000 is pretty stinky. So if you can glue it up and put it in a different room, that's usually best. Otherwise, you just keep smelling it until it cures. Oops, I'm making a mess. Just gonna set that on there. And then we're going to grab our board. And I cheated a little bit, and I used the hair dryer, which if I'm doing something under normal circumstances, I might dry it just a smidge, but just to get the last of it dry. But I prefer just to let it sit and dry on its own. So we're going to dampen this again before we pull it off. And what that does is it helps to lift the paper off, but it also helps to leave the image behind. And there we go. And then you want to hang this wet paper over something so it can dry. Or you can put it on back on the sheet that it came on. It comes up with a sheet, backer sheet, and that's always a good thing to lay it back down on and let it dry out. You can see that there are some strange difference in color. That is where the bubbles were. And I will show you, let's see if you can see it on this. There's a little bit of difference. It gives a little bit of texture. Love it. But it can sand down. This is sanded. and it still looks great. This one, which was my sample one, you can see it. I did not sand this one, but you can see just the little folds, I guess, in the paint. But like I said, you can sand them right down if you don't like the look of them. So at this point, you could, you know, put a cool dryer on it, blow dryer on it, and get it to paint, get it to dry. And then we can put the clip on it. So I'm going to go ahead and dry it so we can move on. So now that it's dry, I'm just going to take a, this is a 320 grit sandpaper, and I'm just going to go over the top. Sorry for the scraping sound. I'm just going to take that to the trash. Wipe it off. Get a paintbrush and just kind of. Make sure it's cleaned off. Oh. And I'm going to take clear wax and go over the whole thing. And you should actually do this first. Glue that on first before you wax so that it can adhere. I didn't think that out very well. You can also just use a top coat, a spray one. They recommend a spray so that the paint doesn't move around, because if you get it moist, it will move around a little bit, which can create some really cool effects. But if you don't want it moving around, they suggest just doing a light spray, and then you can do your wax over the top, or you can do just, you know, leave it that way, or clear coat it a little bit more. I'm debating whether to put a little bit of decrepit dust on it, and that's why I'm using wax. But also the wax does not move the paint around. All right. Hopefully that wasn't too much in the camera view. So let's see, do we want to put a little decrepit dust in this? Get my spatula, just put a smidge of this on my paper. Oop, and all over the thing. So I guess we do want some decrepit dust. It'll just help to give it a little bit of an aged look. I mostly put it around the corners, the edges. It doesn't have to be exact, because aging doesn't happen exact. But also, I think what I want to do is put a little bit of wax on this. And that kind of gives it a little bit of a vintage look also. And then we're going to glue it. I'm going to run a glue here and then up some around here. Basically the points that will hit the wood. There we go. And I'm just going to eyeball it. But if you want it precise, then you can measure it out. I'll just do this. And this, and it's not centered. Just scoot it over a smidge. So that should be it. And then it's ready to have a picture put in the clip. And you're done. If you have any questions about any of the products that I used in this video, you can go to our website at www.boutiquepaint.com. Thank you so much for joining me.